Hello friends, I welcome you to the next lecture. In this lecture we are going to deal with Ind AS 8, which corresponds to International Accounting Standard 8. Ind AS 8 deals with accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates and errors, but in this particular lecture we are only going to deal with accounting policies. How to select an accounting policy, if there are changes in an accounting policy, how to deal with that changes is what we are going to discuss in this lecture. Okay. So now, what is the meaning of accounting policy? Let us see the definition given by the standard. Accounting policies are specific principles, basis, convention, rules, practices applied by an entity in preparing and presenting financial statements. Examples: measuring inventory at cost or NR, whichever is lower. In the case of biological assets which are used for agricultural activity, at initial recognition and subsequent measurement, they are measured at fair value less cost to sell. There are many such accounting policies which we adopt in preparing and presenting financial statements. Okay. But how to select an accounting policy for a particular transaction, event or condition is what we are going to discuss right now. Okay. So now, how to select an accounting policy? The standard divides it in, we can say, two situations. If there is a particular transaction, event or condition for which we are trying to select an accounting policy and that matter is covered by an Ind AS, and if that matter is not covered by an Ind AS, then how do you deal with selection of an accounting policy? So standard says if the matter is covered by an Ind AS, then accounting policy choice would depend upon the requirements of Ind AS. So whatever that Ind AS has to say, whatever accounting policies are suggested by the Ind AS, only those accounting policies can be adopted for the matter which is already covered by an Ind AS. If you base your accounting policies based on the requirements of Ind AS, automatically financial statements will be both relevant and reliable. Okay. So if there is an Ind AS which specifically applies to that matter, then your choice is limited. Whatever accounting policy choices are available in that Ind AS, only that can be adopted, so that your financial statements are both relevant and reliable. Okay. Now, the third point is, see, Ind AS need not be applied to immaterial items, but again, this is subject to a condition. You are not allowed to make immaterial departures from an Ind AS or leave uncorrected immaterial departures from an Ind AS to achieve a particular presentation. So if you want to achieve a particular presentation and you wantedly do some immaterial departures, you know that you have done some immaterial departures to achieve a particular presentation, you cannot leave it uncorrected. That means you have to definitely correct them. So this is what the standard has to say about matters which are already covered by an Ind AS, how to select an accounting policy. Now the second issue is guidance attached to the standard. Sometimes the Ind AS will come with some guidance, application guidance which is attached to the standard. If that application guidance is integral to the standard, then it is also mandatory. You have to consider the guidance also available for selection of an accounting policy. Okay. Next, if there is no Ind AS dealing with a matter, you want to select an accounting policy for a transaction, event or a condition, a matter. Now, we want to select an accounting policy, but there is no specific Ind AS which covers this matter. In such cases, the standard says that the management has to apply its judgment in developing and applying an accounting policy consistently. So it is the responsibility of the management to apply its judgment in developing and applying consistently an accounting policy. Now the accounting policy which is developed and implemented should result in information which is both relevant and reliable. Relevant means it should be useful for economic decision making of the users. Okay. And second is reliability. Now for the information to be considered reliable, it should satisfy certain conditions. The information should represent faithfully the financial position, the financial performance and cash flows of the entity. That means the information should be faithful. Next, information should reflect the economic substance of the transaction, commercial reality of the transaction, rather than it should not try to capture the legal form, it should try to capture the commercial reality of the transaction. The information should be neutral, that means you should not be affected by personal likes and dislikes of the management. And then prudence, information should be prudent, it should not overstate assets, overstate income, understate liabilities, understate expenses, so information should be prudent. And next is information should be complete in all respects. So when you are developing an accounting policy for a matter which is not covered by an Ind AS, then management has to use its judgment and develop and implement an accounting policy which results in information which is both relevant and reliable. Now in developing this accounting policy, according to para 11 of the standard, the management can refer to similar Ind ASs or Ind ASs which deal with similar or related issues. So what is the requirement of those Ind AS that can be considered by the management? Okay. Or the management is allowed to refer to the definition, recognition, measurement criteria which is prescribed in the framework for assets, liabilities, incomes and expenses. So management, while developing accounting policy for a matter which is not covered by an Ind AS. It can refer to other Ind ASs which deal with similar issues, related issues, or it can refer to the definition, recognition, measurement criteria which is contained in the framework relating to assets, liabilities, incomes and expenses. So this will help the management in developing an accounting policy. Apart from para 11, the management may also refer to the most recent pronouncements of the ISB related to similar matters. So if the International Accounting Standard Board has come out with a recent pronouncement which covers that matter, so you can go through that pronouncement for the purpose of developing an accounting policy. If that is absent, in such cases you can try to refer to pronouncements by other accounting bodies which have a similar framework, or you can refer to other accounting literature, or you can use industry accepted practices. But again, when you use these particular guidance for developing an accounting policy, see to it that these are not in conflict with the requirements of para 11. That means these requirements are not in conflict with similar Ind ASs, or they are not in conflict with the definition, recognition, measurement criteria which is contained in the framework. Okay, so you can also refer to these things for the purpose of development of an Ind AS. Not Ind AS for developing an accounting policy for a matter which is not covered by an Ind AS. Now, the next issue is consistency. Now, what standard says is whenever we apply an accounting policy, it has to be, we can say, applied on a horizontal basis. It should be applied consistently. If you are not applying an accounting policy consistently, then definitely the comparability of the financial statements will be lost. Now, sometimes what the standard says is, normally for similar transactions, events and conditions, you have to apply the accounting policies consistently. Okay, but sometimes some Ind ASs permit categorization of transactions, events and conditions. In such cases, you are permitted to categorize transactions, and then for each category you are allowed to adopt different accounting policies. So that is possible only when an Ind AS permits categorization of transactions. Okay. Next, when can I change an accounting policy? That is the next question which is in front of us for discussion. Now, according to the standard, only when an Ind AS requires change in accounting policy you can change it, or voluntarily if you want to change an accounting policy, you have to demonstrate the fact that the new accounting policy will result in more relevant and reliable information. So either the Ind AS should permit change in accounting policy, Ind AS requires change in accounting policy, or voluntarily you want to change an accounting policy. In such cases, you have to demonstrate the fact that the new accounting policy is going to result in more relevant and reliable information. Okay. Now, then if accounting policies are not followed consistently, the comparability of the financial statement is lost. Next. Now, the following are not considered as changes in accounting policies. See, sometimes some transactions are already occurring. A similar transaction occurs, we cannot say that it is similar because the transactions may look similar, but they are different in the we can say in the subject matter, or the substance of the transaction is not same. In such cases, we can say these are dissimilar transactions, may look similar but substance is different. In such cases, for these different types of transaction, you can adopt different accounting policies. Okay, or suddenly a new transaction or a new event has happened for which did not occur in the past, then you can adopt a new accounting policy for this new type of a transaction. I'll give you some examples. Investments purchased for reselling in near future versus investments held for long term. Earlier we were doing investments for the purpose of holding them for long term purposes. Now this year we have purchased some investments with an intention to sell them in the near future to make some fair value gains. Now the transactions are similar, but the substance of the transaction is not the same. So if you have purchased for the first time investments to be sold in the short term, in such case you would have to adopt a new accounting policy, and the accounting policy may not be same as the accounting policy which we are adopting for investments which are held for long term. Okay, and then we can give an example for the other issue as well here. Earlier we were purchasing fixed assets for cash, and this year we have purchased some fixed assets on finance lease. Now this is a new type of a transaction. When you purchase fixed assets on a finance lease for the first time, you would have to develop and implement an accounting policy. You have to refer to the relevant Ind AS, and based on the relevant Ind AS, you have to select an accounting policy for accounting for assets purchased on lease. Okay, because this is happening for the first time. Actually, this may not have been provided in the standard, but still for giving clarity, the standard has included these issues. Okay, in these cases, we will not say that this is a change in accounting policy. Next. Changing from cost model to evaluation model, para 17 and 18 of the standard. Now, what the standard says is, if an accounting policy, if an entity which has adopted cost model for its property, plant and equipment or intangible assets in the past, now it wants to go to the revaluation model which is permitted by Ind AS 16 and Ind AS 38. In such cases, if you are shifting from the cost model to revaluation model, specifically Ind AS 8 says that it is not considered as a change in accounting policy. You need not provide retrospective effect. You have to do only prospectively. You have to deal with it as if it is a revaluation. So if you are changing from cost model to revaluation model, you will revalue the asset. If there is any difference, it will be considered as a revaluation profit credited to other comprehensive income net of tax effect. So you have to only provide prospective effect. Even though it is a change in accounting policy, Ind AS 8 specifically scopes out this particular matter and it says you need not apply the change in accounting policy retrospectively. Okay, but how to deal with that revaluation is covered by Ind AS 16 and Ind AS 38. Okay, but the other issue here is if you have adopted revaluation model earlier and now you want to come back to cost model, then in such cases it will be considered as a change in accounting policy. It is within the requirements of the standard and you would have to apply that change in accounting policy retrospectively. So if you are changing from cost to revaluation model, then how to deal with it is not covered by Ind AS 8, it is covered by Ind AS 16 and it is only prospective effect which you have to give. But suppose you are adopting revaluation model, now you want to come back to cost model, in such cases you would have to apply the requirements of the standard and you would have to provide retrospective effect. Is it clear? Next, applying the change, para 19. So whenever you change an accounting policy, how to deal with that change? As per para 19, the changes can be divided into three categories. One, the change in accounting policy is required by a new Ind AS. A new Ind AS has come and the Ind AS requires change in accounting policy. There are some transitional provisions in that Ind AS which deals with how to change our accounting policy in line with the requirements of Ind AS. So how do you deal with that situation? Second, Ind AS does not really require any change, but voluntarily we want to change our accounting policy. Then how to deal with that change? Third, we are adopting Ind AS for the first time. So how do you deal with it? Let us go with the third issue first. First time application of Ind AS. Now all the issues relating to first time adoption of Ind AS, how to deal with first time adoption of Ind AS, the matters are covered by Ind AS 101. If it is not covered by Ind AS 101, you would have to provide for retrospective effect. That is very, very clear. So if how to deal with, we can say first time adoption of Ind AS, let us say I want to know how to deal with property, plant and equipment in the first balance sheet which is prepared based on Ind AS. So Ind AS 101 covers this matter. So based on the requirements of Ind AS 101, you will arrive at the value to be shown in the first balance sheet which is prepared based on Ind AS. Okay. If it is not covered, then you would have to provide retrospective effect. You have to then ask which standard specifically applies to that matter, what is the accounting policy suggested by the matter, what is the current accounting policy we are following, is there any difference? If there is any difference, then you have to adopt this new accounting policy retrospectively. Okay. Now, second issue, and it is changing accounting policy because of an Ind AS. In such cases, if the Ind AS contains any transition provisions, based on the transition provision, you have to apply the change in accounting policy. Voluntarily, we are applying a change in accounting policy. See, sometimes the standard itself gives you some choice. Like Ind AS 16 gives you cost model, revaluation model. If you shift from one model to other model, it will be considered as a voluntary change. Okay. Now, if you are doing voluntarily change, then in such case you have to provide retrospective effect. Okay. Now, para 22 says you have to provide retrospective effect, and unless it is impracticable to provide retrospective effect, you have to always, if it is impracticable to provide retrospective effect to change in accounting policy, then you can go for prospective implementation of the change. But if it is not impracticable, it is possible to retrospectively restate financial statements, then as per para 22 you have to retrospectively apply the change in accounting policy. Now here I have an example for you to understand it better. Let us suppose we have started our business and 4 years have elapsed since we have started our business. Year 4, let us assume, is the current accounting period. Year 3 is comparative information, and we are also providing some other prior period information also, year 1 and year 2. Now if I change an accounting policy retrospectively, I would have to find out what would be the period specific effect, how much would be the impact on year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and change these information retrospectively. That means I would have to restate financial information for year 1, year 2, year 3 and also for year 4. Okay. Now let us suppose I am not showing year 1 and year 2 data, I am only showing year 4 and comparative 1 year information. In such cases I would have to find out what is the cumulative effect of restating or change in accounting policy on year 1 and year 2. If the same accounting policy was adopted since the beginning of year 1, what would be the cumulative effect of that change in accounting policy on year 1 and year 2, and what will you do is, with that cumulative effect, you will prepare an opening balance sheet for year 3 and adjust the figures in the opening balance sheet for year 3. So cumulative impact of change in accounting policy in year 1 and year 2 would be adjusted in the opening balance of year 3, and year 3 financial statements would be restated, because year 3 is also going to be affected because of change in accounting policy. Year 3 information will also be affected. That is how we are going to retrospectively restate. Let us say it is not possible to find out period specific effects for year 1, year 2, year 3. We are not able to find out if accounting policy was adopted retrospectively, what would have been the impact on year 1, year 2, year 3. We are not able to estimate what would have been the impact if I would have adopted the new accounting policy on year 1, year 2, year 3. Period specific effects I am not able to determine, and I am not able to, but I am able to determine the cumulative effect. Let us say I am able to at least find out the cumulative effect. In such cases, what the standard says is, at least restate the opening balances for year 4. Okay. If that is also not possible, you are just going to ignore and you will start applying the change in accounting policy prospectively. Is it clear? So I'll again explain. We are showing 4 years data. If you are showing 4 years data, if you are able to determine the period specific effect because of the change in accounting policy, restate all the years. If you are not able to find, let us say you are showing only year 4, year 3 data, at least find the cumulative effect of year 1, year 2, prepare opening balance sheet for year 3, adjust those figures. Year 3 will again be restated. Year 4, however, we are going to prepare based on the new accounting policy. If we are not able to find out the period specific effect, it is not possible. In such cases, if you are at least able to find out the cumulative impact on all these 3 years, adjust the opening balances for year 4 and start implementing the new accounting policy for year 4. If that is also not possible, then you cannot do anything. You have to ignore that fact and then you have to just start implementing the accounting policy prospectively. Okay, so that is what the standard has to say. Now, let us see the disclosures on initial application of Ind AS. Let us say we are adopting an Ind AS for the first time. So sometimes what may happen is, when you are adopting an Ind AS for the first time, changes in accounting policies are required. The Ind AS requirements of the Ind AS may be different from what you are applying right now. So you would have to change the accounting policy. Sometimes that Ind AS may itself contain some guidance relating to transition to the implementation of new Ind AS. In such cases, we have to disclose some information. The title of the Ind AS, when applicable, the changes in accounting policy which is made in accordance with the transitional provisions, the nature of change in accounting policy, when applicable, a description of the transitional provisions. So you have to give this information. Apart from that, see, when you adopt a new Ind AS and you change your accounting policy, it may have an impact. See, whenever you change an accounting policy, you have to give retrospective effect. The new Ind AS transitional provisions may also require you to do retrospective restatement. So if the Ind AS requires retrospective restatement, then by how much amount each line item of the financial statement which is, we can say, restated, has to be disclosed in notes to account. So by how much amount last year's figures have been restated, each line item, by how much each line item has been restated. Last year, current year, before that cumulative impact, you have to disclose in notes to account. Apart from that, by how much amount the EPS figures have to be adjusted. For each financial statement which is restated, you have to disclose in notes to account. Now, sometimes we also know the fact that when you apply an accounting policy retrospectively, you would have to adjust the opening balance of the earliest period reported. Earliest period reported is last year. So by how much you have adjusted the opening balance of the earliest period reported, that is, Ind AS 1 requires you to prepare an opening balance sheet for the earliest period reported. Earliest period reported is last year, so you would have to prepare an opening balance sheet for earliest period reported, and the cumulative impact of the accounting policy would have to be adjusted in the opening balance of the earliest period. By how much you have adjusted the opening balance of earliest period, that has to be disclosed. Sometimes it is not possible to retrospectively apply the changes in accounting policy. Then you have described the circumstances and conditions in which you are not able to apply the changes in accounting policy retrospectively. The fact has to be disclosed. Okay. Next, disclosures relating to voluntarily change. The entity itself has gone for a voluntary change. Then what are the disclosures required? The nature of the change in accounting policy. So what is the change? You will describe the old accounting policy, new accounting policy, and what is the change in the accounting policy. The reasons why applying a new accounting policy provides relevant and reliable information. So why do you feel that this accounting policy is going to provide relevant and reliable information? That has to be disclosed. And again, for the current period and each prior period which is presented and some information has been restated, by how much amount each line item in the financial statement has been increased or decreased. Similarly, amount of adjustment required to the EPS figure which has been disclosed, that has to be disclosed. Again, the amount of adjustment relating to periods before those presented to the extent practicable. See, we present current year information, last year information, but the change in accounting policy can have impact on earlier years as well. The cumulative impact is adjusting the opening balance of the earliest period presented. So how much you have adjusted the opening balance of last year, that has to be disclosed. If it is impracticable to apply the change in accounting policy retrospectively, then you have to describe the conditions and circumstances in which you are not able to apply the change in accounting policy retrospectively. And from which date you have been able to apply it retrospectively, that has to be disclosed. Now, disclosures relating to Ind AS issued but not effective. A new Ind AS has been issued, but it has not come into force now. So now it is our responsibility as preparers of financial statement to inform the users about the possible impact which this Ind AS may have once it comes into force. So whatever information is available or whatever information is estimable, so whatever information you can estimate relating to the implementation of the new Ind AS, whenever it is implemented, what is the impact it is going to have on financial statement? If you can estimate that impact and disclose it. Okay. So what the standard requires is you have to disclose the name of the new Ind AS, the nature of impending change. So what is the change that is going to happen in the accounting policies, the date by which application of Ind AS is required, the date on which the entity plans to apply the Ind AS initially, and discuss the impact of initial application of the Ind AS. If you are not able to quantify that impact, at least disclose the fact that the financial statements are going to be impacted by the implementation of the Ind AS, but we are not able to quantify it. Disclose that fact. Okay. Next, impracticability. Now we discussed in lot detail. We said if it is impracticable to retrospectively restate financial statements, then you can go for prospective. We can say implementation of the change in accounting policy. So when do we consider that it is impracticable to apply an accounting policy retrospectively? Lack of data. Sufficient data has not been recorded in the past to apply change in accounting policy retrospectively or to correct prior period errors retrospectively. We need to know intent of management in the past. Sometimes implementation of an accounting policy would require significant estimates to be made. Estimates require the intention of the management in the past, which may not be ascertainable now. Okay. In such cases, it becomes impracticable to apply an accounting policy retrospectively. Then information about circumstances in the past. We need information about the circumstances which were prevailing in the past, and that information is not observable from a, we can say, a market. In such cases, we cannot retrospectively apply the accounting policy. Hindsight cannot be used. Okay, so you cannot use hindsight as well to implement a change in accounting policy. So you can say in these situations, it is impracticable to change an accounting policy. Next, prior period errors. Let us say we have an example here. Entity sold some stock during financial year 15-16, but it was not removed from stock. That means the goods were sold, sale was booked, but the stock was not removed, even though sales is booked. Discovered in 16-17. So it is a prior period error, omission. Okay. Now treatment in 15-16. What are we going to do? We have to do retrospective restatement even for prior period errors. Reduce closing stock figure for 15-16. Reduce the profit for 15-16. See, in 15-16. we have shown double income. We have shown sales and we are also showing stock. So it is double income. So we have to reduce the stock figure, automatically profit will reduce. Automatically opening balance of retained earnings for next year will automatically get corrected. And in 16-17 what we should do? Reduce the opening stock figure and increase the profits for 16-17. Okay. So this is how we are going to correct this error. This is a prior period error. Next, retrospective application of accounting policy impracticable. There can be certain situations where retrospective application of an accounting policy can become impracticable. What is the situation? Let us see an example. During 16-17, an entity decides to adopt componentization approach. You all know that Ind AS 16 property, plant and equipment requires componentization. That means if there is any component whose fair value or whose cost is significant in relation to the total cost of the equipment, then in such case that component has to be capitalized separately, depreciated separately based on its useful life. That is called as componentization approach. We divide an item of property, plant and equipment into various components. Each component is significant when compared to the total property, plant and equipment, and we depreciate these components individually based on their useful lives and based on how they have to be depreciated. Okay. Some components are depreciated based on we can say number of years. Some components are depreciated based on usage. Some components are depreciated based on number of hours, etc. So we would have to divide the item of property, plant and equipment into components and then apply depreciation requirements to each component separately. Okay, that is called as componentization approach. During 1670, entity decides to adopt componentization approach retrospectively and adopt revaluation model. So if you go for componentization, it is a change in accounting policy, okay, and you have to apply it retrospectively, and the entity also decided to adopt revaluation model. Revaluation you can adopt prospectively, but componentization, if you have decided to do, you have to apply it retrospectively. But let us see what actually happened. An engineering survey reveals that sufficient records have not been maintained to ascertain cost of each component properly. So we have conducted a survey and we have found that sufficient records have not been maintained to find out the cost of these components retrospectively. Information is not available about replacement of parts, major overhauls done in the past, etc. So we have not maintained sufficient records. It may not be possible to apply the change retrospectively. That means componentization cannot be applied retrospectively because insufficient data has been maintained and data has not been properly maintained. Okay. See, we need information about when parts have been replaced, on that date what was the carrying amount of the part which has been replaced, what is the cost which we have incurred for the new part, when the replacement was done. This information has to be available. Then overhauls, we have done overhauls, when the overhaul was done, to which part the overhauling was done. So information has to be maintained in detail to apply componentization, we can say retrospectively, but that information is not available. So in such cases we cannot apply componentization retrospectively. So management will come to a conclusion that we have to adopt it only prospectively. Okay, and then apply both the changes prospectively from the beginning of the current year. See, however, revaluation model has to be applied prospectively. Componentization we fail to apply retrospectively, so we have to adopt prospectively. So what will we do? On the date of change, estimate the fair value of each significant component, and that will be used for depreciating the components over the remaining useful life. That is how we are going to do it. So we would have to find out fair value of the components on the date of change in accounting policy, and if there are any profits, we will credit it to revaluation reserve, we will credit it to other comprehensive income net of tax, and then this amount which has been now recognized based on revalued figures, this amount would be depreciated over the remaining useful life of the components. So that is how we would have to adopt. What we will do is we will try to find out the fair value of each component, and then we will account for it separately in our books of accounts. So that is how we will adopt this change in accounting policy. So here we have found that we are not able to apply componentization retrospectively, impracticable, hence applied prospectively. Revaluation model is however required to be followed prospectively. Thanks a lot.